Thank you so much for watching Landom C Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Science fiction cinema hit a turning point in the 1960s. Although you would occasionally see a film like 1956's Forbidden Planet slip through the cracks, the genre itself was basically a dumping ground for low-budget movies in the 50s and early 60s. All that started to change in 1968 with the release of Planet of the Apes. It was directed by Franklin Schaffner from a screenplay that was done by Michael Wilson and Rod Serling. But the whole project was really based loosely on a 1963 novel by Pierre Boulle. The movie stars Charlton Heston, Kim Hunter, Roddy McDowall, Maurice Evans, James Whitmore, James Daly, and Linda Harrison. The storyline follows an astronaut crew that crash lands on a strange planet in the distant future. Although this planet appears desolate at first, the surviving crew members end up stumbling upon a society in which apes have evolved into creatures with human-like intelligence and speech. These apes have assumed the role of the dominant species, and the humans find themselves as a devalued species, trapped and imprisoned by the apes. Along with 1968's 2001 A Space Odyssey, this film changed the perception of what sci-fi was capable of and really opened the door for everything from then on, things like Star Wars and Blade Runner. Everyone that was introduced to it, all the studios, and even the book's author, thought it would make a terrible movie. You see, apes, especially talking ones, were the stuff of just B-movies back in the 60s, so nobody took them seriously. That's the problem that the producer, Arthur Jacobs, ran into while he was shopping the film around Hollywood. He was rejected constantly at all the studios that he went to. But Jacobs finally landed a person that would listen to his pitch about the film. Only one executive, former vice president of 20th Century Fox, Richard Zanuck, was interested in the project at all, but he really had one reservation about it. He was concerned that the makeup wouldn't look right and that people would laugh at it in theaters. In order to convince Zanuck, Jacobs shot a makeup test, complete with Charlton Heston. Though it cost a mere $5,000 to shoot this test, it impressed Zanuck so much that it settled down his fears of the ape makeup, and he agreed to give Jacobs and the director $5 million to get Planet of the Apes off the ground. Lunchtime, while filming the project, led to some unintended segregation that happened. A particular side effect of having a cast of humans in ape garb occurred at lunchtime, and no one expected this at all. Subconsciously, the cast ate divided down the species lines. The human actors, the chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas all fell in line with a sort of self-segregation, and they all ate with their own kind. This at first seems like it might be some kind of method acting that was going on, but it wasn't, and the actors and the producers were just as confused by it as anyone, with Charlton Heston saying that he had no explanation whatsoever for it happening. John Chambers' outstanding makeup effects, pioneered in the film, were based on techniques that he had used during the Second World War to give disfigured veterans a normal appearance. He spent many hours at the Los Angeles Zoo watching the expressions of the apes so he could get that feature right. Several other productions were delayed in Hollywood because many of Hollywood's top makeup artists were working on the film. I've heard that at least 80 of the best in Hollywood were on this film. In the original script, the female native humans were all supposed to be bare-breasted, but this idea was vetoed by Fox just to appease the censors. Turning down the part of Zira was one of Ingrid Bergman's greatest regrets of her career. Much surprised by how well the finished film turned out, she later confided in her daughter, Isabella Rossellini, that in hindsight, this movie would have been an ideal opportunity to discard her regal bearing that she had in films. And she also regretted missing the opportunity to work with Charlton Heston. Heston was so sick during much of the film because he had the flu, but he struggled through it. Rather than wait for him to get better, the producers felt that his hoarse voice added something to his character. But that being said, it was a continual struggle for him to do the production daily. This is one of the first movies to have a major large-scale merchandising tie-in to it. Merchandise related to the film included toys and collectibles, action figures, picture and storybooks, trading card sets, and comic books. Now, one of the struggles that all the actors had while they were on the set is eating lunch with their makeup intact. One of the things that they were given to eat most of the time was a banana because it was fairly easy to consume. But they also did it somewhat as a prank. Kim Hunter found this whole experience so laborious that she eventually gave up eating when she was in full makeup. She would have to eat her lunch in front of a mirror in order to monitor any changes that the food and chewing it would do to the costuming. They also had to drink with straws, and naturally, in those days, a lot of the actors were smokers too. So the studio issued all the smokers cigarette holders to be used when in costume. Hunter also found this facial prosthetics so claustrophobic that she took a Valium each morning while being made up as Zira. And she also requested to be scheduled to have the makeup put on no more than 4 days in a row, because by the end of several days, the spirit glue that was used to attach the appliances would burn her skin. So she would end up having to sleep with Vaseline all over her face every night to avoid having a bright red rash each morning. Go back and watch this 1968 classic. The special effects and makeup are truly amazing for that time. It's a really well done film. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.